It's Inauguration Day, and former President Trump is now president again. Time magazine offers ways to cope with the inauguration blues. Plus, Joe Biden was even more diminished than people thought. All that and more. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is the 13-Minute News Hour.
God bless the United States of America.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
That I will faithfully execute.
That I will faithfully execute.
The office of President of the United States.
The office of President of the United States.
And will, to the best of my ability.
And will, to the best of my ability.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
The Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
And with that, Donald Trump was sworn in as the 47th President of the United States. Good evening, friends, and welcome to the 13-Minute News Hour on Inauguration Day 2025. Having moved the speech from the traditional steps of the Capitol to inside the Rotunda, Trump still managed to deliver a stirring address which was focused on unifying the country and letting the world know that America is back and American leadership is stronger than ever.
From this day forward, our country will flourish and be respected again all over the world. We will be the envy of every nation, and we will not allow ourselves to be taken advantage of any longer. During every single day of the Trump administration, I will very simply put America first.
This revolution of common sense has been long in the making, and from the election results in November, it is a change that Americans have been thirsting for years. Gone is the stifling era of DEI, wokeness, cancel culture, and weakness. With Trump, a new era of optimism and national pride begins.
As we gather today, our government confronts a crisis of trust. For many years, a radical and corrupt establishment has extracted power and wealth from our citizens while the pillars of our society lay broken and seemingly in complete disrepair. We now have a government that cannot manage even a simple crisis at home, while at the same time stumbling into a continuing catalog of catastrophic events abroad. It fails to protect our magnificent, law-abiding American citizens, but provides sanctuary and protection for dangerous criminals, many from prisons and mental institutions.
America is the greatest country in the world. It is the country that has led more people to freedom than any country in the world. America has defeated tyrants, cured diseases, explored space, and provided a beacon of hope and opportunity for all who wish to embrace the American culture and the American values. Here's more from Trump.
Those who wish to stop our cause have tried to take my freedom and indeed to take my life. Just a few months ago in a beautiful Pennsylvania field, an assassin's bullet ripped through my ear. But I felt then, and believe even more so now, that my life was saved for a reason. I was saved by God to make America great again.
The message is clear, and we all have a role to play. We can never again let our country fall into the hands of the woke radical left, a group that wants to tear our country down and pit Americans against each other based on skin color or religion. We are the great American melting pot, and today we can feel that America is truly back. Next, let's talk about the ways to cope with the inauguration. But first, if you're new to the show or haven't subscribed yet, regardless of platform, just search out my name, hit that subscribe button, make sure notifications are turned on. That way you can follow the show and help us grow. As people were gearing up for the presidential inauguration, not everyone was happy. Time magazine released a story on Friday on things to do on Inauguration Day that are great for your mental health. Apparently, witnessing the greatest political comeback in American history is not something that should be celebrated, but rather avoided. We'll get to the magazine's recommendations in just a bit, but over the weekend, left-wing radical women descended on the nation's capital to protest the Trump inauguration. Turning Point USA had a reporter in the field to interview some of the demonstrators.
What have the mental repercussions of Donald Trump being the 47th president been?
I'm personally here because I had a mental breakdown after Donald Trump won.
It's devastation. It's absolute, complete devastation to people's mental, emotional, physical, and psychological health. People are dying as a result of Trump being elected. There are people dying by suicide because they don't want to live in a country where their rights are not respected and them as people are not seen as people, but rather than objects of that should be eliminated.
Wow. I have no idea what she just said, but those reactions were typical of the people attending the protest. Apparently, they all believe that the rights of everyone, oh, except straight white men, will soon be taken away as soon as Trump gets into office. Here's more.
It's a downward mental impact. It's not good.
I don't think the government has any place telling us what we can and can't do with our bodies, and no uterus, no opinion. I definitely don't feel like women are treated equal in society, and I'm definitely worried about, the right to an abortion and birth control being taken away, but I also recognize that as, a white woman, I have a lot more privilege than a lot of women in this country, and there are other women that are facing a lot more of their rights being taken away, like trans women and women of color. So I come out here to support them as well.
That poor woman must be in a perpetual state of stress because not only does she believe that rights are being stripped away, but she also has to deal with the progressive imposed burden of being white.
It just was really difficult to wrap my head around the fact that half of my country didn't even think that women and transgender people and gay people and people of color should have basic rights.
And talk to me about that, to expand on that a little bit more for me. How are women not treated equally in society?
I mean, I think it's pretty just day to day the way that men talk about women, and I mean, we've never had a female president. I think that kind of speaks for itself.
I wonder if we should let her know that the largest voting bloc of women, that's white women, went for Trump by 53% to 46%. But in any case, if you're just too stressed out to enjoy the day, Time magazine suggests volunteering or working out to take your mind off Trump. Another suggestion was to get creative, and yet another was to do some forest bathing. Of course, if you don't have a forest nearby, you can do some journaling, and if all else fails, you can cry with a friend. Yep, if you just can't take it, then let it all out. Do some crying, preferably with a friend, to increase empathy and build stronger social bonds. Good advice for the purple-haired people of America. As for me, I'll enjoy the inauguration. Next, in a shocking revelation regarding Joe Biden's mental fitness, House Speaker Mike Johnson said that during one meeting at the White House, Johnson learned that Biden had absolutely no idea that he signed an executive order banning LNG exports. This revelation follows the explosive Wall Street Journal story from last month, which detailed how Biden's staff covered for him from day one. If the president was having an off day, meetings could be scrapped altogether. On one such occasion, a national security official explained to another aide why a meeting needed to be rescheduled. He has good days and bad days, and today was a bad day, so we're going to address this tomorrow, the former aide recalled the official saying. In a story released Friday, the New York Times reports that donors were stunned and worried as Biden would use a teleprompter at small fundraising events in people's homes. That's bad enough, but the recent comments from Speaker Johnson truly reveal how bad things were.
I do stand by it, and I say this without any personal animus at all. I mean, in some ways I actually kind of feel sorry for Joe Biden. I mean, he's in the twilight years of his life. He is not, obviously has not been in charge for some time. And I know this by personal observation, and now the whole world knows it, and it's been very, very concerning to me over the last, year and a half.
I think the cover-up of Joe Biden's mental failings is the biggest political scandal we've seen in Washington, perhaps ever. And yet, Johnson is only now revealing this, so clearly he wasn't that concerned. Here's more.
Finally, I just went to the Hill press corps and I said, the president is not being allowed to meet with the speaker. There's a problem. So they started putting pressure on him. Long story short, they finally relented. They invited me to the White House. I show up and I realize it's actually an ambush, because it's not just me and the president. It's also Kamala Harris, Chuck Schumer, Hakeem, the CIA director, everybody. And then, so I walked in the Oval and, I know what this is. They're going to hotbox the speaker on Ukraine funding. That's what it was.
So Johnson tries to meet with Biden, and instead he gets the whole team. And you can bet they were the ones calling the shots. But at that meeting, Johnson did some one-on-one time with Biden, and the result was shocking.
Real quickly, Mr. President, can I ask you a question? I cannot answer this from my constituents in Louisiana. Sir, why did you pause LNG exports to Europe? Like, I don't understand, liquefied natural gas is in great demand by our allies. Why would you do that? Because you understand, we just talked about Ukraine. You understand you're fueling Vladimir Putin's war machine because they got to get their gas from him, And he looks at me stunned with this, and he said, I didn't do that. And I said, Mr. President, yes, you did. It was an executive order 3 weeks ago. And he goes, no, I didn't do that.
Unreal. Biden had no idea what he had done. So if Biden didn't even know what he was signing, who was telling him to do it? And who was explaining what the executive order would actually do? We've had 4 years of a shadow government, and the media and Democrats completely covered it up. And next, here's some rapid-fire headlines from around the country. First, a follow-up to Friday's story regarding the letter sent by left-wing congressional staffers pushing for a 32-hour work week. The letter was met with mockery by both Republicans and Democrats, and now the request has been withdrawn. As reported by the Post-Millennial, the staffers said their letter failed to make it clear that the staffers were dedicated to serving the American people no matter how many hours it takes to get the job done. They added that there are well-known long-standing workplace issues and remedies that deserve Congress's immediate attention, but a 32-hour work week for staff will not be one of them. Next, it appears the Doge brothers are splitting up. President Trump named Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy to head up his Department of Government Efficiency, but Ramaswamy may be stepping away from the project. As reported by CBS News, people close to Musk have privately undercut Ramaswamy for weeks, frustrated with his lack of participation in the heavy lifting, according to sources familiar with the internal dynamics. There has been friction between the incoming rank-and-file Doge staff and Ramaswamy, the sources said, and Ramaswamy has been subtly encouraged to exit. And finally, independent journalist Michael Schellenberger is working on a story following word that President Trump will pause all offshore wind leases. I guess saving the whales isn't in vogue with the radical green energy cabal, since it conflicts with their dreams of destroying all fossil fuels.
What the United States is looking at is thousands of wind turbines in an area that our whales, our dolphins, our marine life, where they live, where they migrate, where they breed.
It's only when they started going into the wind lease areas that we believe that the whales are dying.
So those red dots are whale deaths.
Precisely.
What a scandal.
Good for President Trump to put a stop to this. Let's ramp up nuclear while we continue to drill, baby, drill. Friends, that's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. And remember, today's show's one sheet is available to Patreon supporters using the link in the description. The one sheet gives you the links to all the videos and stories used on today's show, so you can dive even deeper into each issue. And with that, our next show will be Monday evening at the usual time. Until then, I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour. All right, friends, thanks again for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And before you go, please hit that subscribe button above. Once you do, tell your friends, share it, spread the word about the 13-minute news hour so we can keep growing. And for more great content, check out these videos right here, and I'll see you next time.